Hello, everybody. Uh, I had a conversation with Meet Patel today. We talked a lot about the IT market, job market in Canada, Ottawa. You know, uh, we had an interesting conversation about his journey through Kalol, Gujarat to Kenya to Canada, um, and his dad's success stories. Lots of learning, lots of fun. Let's dive in. Welcome to the podcast. Uh, I know you recently moved to Ottawa,
Yeah.
so tell me how do you how do you feel that city is treating you from Toronto?
Obviously, apart from the cold,
Yeah,
the city is nice, but it's too cold compared to GTA. When I was back in GTA, used to feel like the weather was a little bit okayish to handle
yeah,
because I was there from 6 years. But as soon as I moved here, like right now, just 2 days before, it was negative 25. So the cold is crazy. I feel like traveling has increased a lot since I moved to Ottawa. I've traveled almost 10,000 kilometers or more. Not even 10,000, I think 20,000 kilometers
yeah.
by
Back
road,
and forth, right?
back and forth
Because
to
it's almost
Toronto.
like 450 kilometers ish from Toronto to
From
Ottawa.
Toronto to
Yeah,
Ottawa, yeah,
and then you have to drive back and forth.
back
So
and forth. So 1,000 kilometers
yeah,
each, and I've drove like at least 10 times, I guess.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned GTA, but just so just for people to know, it's it's when he says GTA, it's Greater
Hmm.
Toronto Area. What it means is Toronto is not just. I mean, it's a city, as in if you check in the maps, it is a city, but then
Hmm.
um, there's other cities as well. So there is I think Mississauga, and then there's Brampton. I don't know if it's in GTA,
Brampton is part
but
of GTA.
there's other
Yes.
cities which relate
Uh,
which touches GTA, which touches Toronto, and all those cities combined are called GTA. It's a
yeah.
Greater Toronto Area. So
Greater
GTA
Toronto. Yeah.
means
Yep.
some of the cities, right? And how do you
Yep.
know how much it covers? Does
I
Oshawa?
think starting from Scarborough, Etobicoke, Toronto,
Yeah,
Milton,
yeah,
Gulf, uh, Burlington,
right.
Oakville, and I don't know if I'm missing any, but yeah, till there it's called GTA, and as soon as you're in Hamilton, it changes to Ontario Horseshoe.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was in Hamilton, not exactly in GTA, but just so people know, I say I was in GTA, but it's Ontario Horseshoe.
Ontario Horseshoe.
Horseshoe.
What's it? What is it?
It's the area where which covers Hamilton, St. Catharines, Niagara,
Oh,
those
because of the
regions.
horseshoe. That's how it looks in the map.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I don't know why
Oh,
they call it horseshoe, but that's how I know that this is Ontario Horseshoe. And as soon as you pass Hamilton, it's
yeah.
GTA.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know. I didn't know
Yeah,
it's a thing for those cities.
yeah. So
Um,
basically, I was in Hamilton from past 6 years, and I moved here 5 months ago.
right. I know Kitchener, Waterloo, and Cambridge. They are called
Mhm.
sister cities. So like
Yeah,
there's those names. So there's cities combined. There's a term for it. Just I think to make it easier.
yeah.
That's why it's called GTA. How do you feel about um, the recent changes in Ottawa? So, I mean, we're not going deeper in a serious topic or anything like that because we're
Yeah.
going to be talking more about Meet's life, where he's from, what he's done, what he works, and how his experiences are. But yeah, how do you feel about the Ottawa, the government change? And before the government got changed, there was a lot
Mhm.
of changes in the immigration rules,
Yeah.
um, and then because specifically for us for immigrants and students who
Yeah.
wants to come over here, um, I guess not for us much
Mhm.
because now we work and then but for people who are coming now and as students, yeah. So what do you think?
Things are 100% changing, I guess, but it all depends. Like 6 years before, when I came to Canada, things were different. Like as a student, I got my first job in like 7 days. Right
Right.
now, I've seen a lot of people who are struggling to get their first job as a student, like 20 hours, any job. They're willing to
Yeah.
work anywhere. But it's getting tougher and tougher. I feel like they're closing the doors for Canada.
Yeah,
just because there are a lot of people. Inflation is rising, housing market is rising, everything is changing, and with recent politics change, I think it's going to a direction where it's going to be more difficult for people to come to Canada.
yeah,
Yeah,
right. I feel like
yeah.
because before the Trudeau government, I mean not the government change, but before Trudeau resigned. So
Hmm.
I'm sorry, I apologize. There's no, it's not a government change, but Trudeau resigned, and then some changes were made before Trudeau resigned.
Yeah.
Um, a few days before the finance minister resigned,
Hmm.
and then I think the a lot of people from the Liberal government, they were
Hmm.
saying that it's not good anymore on Christmas
Yeah.
time, and then they want Trudeau to resign. I think they were saying that
Yeah.
publicly, and then eventually after the holidays, Trudeau resigned, and then now I think they're deciding who will be chosen as the PM of Canada,
PM.
as a liberal from the
Leader.
Liberal Party.
Yeah.
Um, and eventually there's going to be, I think, elections, and then
Yeah.
whatever happens after that, Pierre
Pierre
Poilievre's
Poilievre is the next
chances are looking
candidate.
really
Yeah.
good. Anyways, but before that, the immigration changes that immigration law changes that was made before Trudeau resigned, a lot of things were downsized. So
Hmm.
they cut off a lot of, was it student visas they got, do you know, or they just cut off the timings and stuff like that?
So first of all, I think
Or
what.
it was the visas, right? Because the
Yeah.
colleges are giving admissions to the students,
Yeah.
but the government is not giving
So
visas.
I think for colleges, they usually give diploma and certificate courses, right? So if you're coming to a college, changes that they have made affects after they're done studying. So most
Right.
of the people, when they come to Canada, they think that, hey, I'll be settling there, I'll be getting a 3 years postgraduate work permit, stuff like that. But the changes that they have made is such that, let's say I come for accounting, diploma in accounting.
Right.
If accounting is in demand, then and only I get the work permit. Otherwise, they don't give me the work permit. So I have to go back after studying. So people are
Uh,
now scared. They are only taking courses which are in demand. Earlier, just a year ago, people used to take tourism, business, whatever
yeah,
courses they can think of.
it was the same thing
Yeah,
for a lot of people in my batch, because they didn't want to. For me, I knew I wanted to study IT, so I looked for similar courses. But a lot of people, they didn't know. All
yeah,
their means of coming to Canada and being a permanent resident was through student visa,
student visa.
and then they don't care what
Yeah,
college gives them admission or what course they take, as long as they come study, finish their studies, get a work permit, and then eventually apply for PR and
yeah.
be a permanent residence and go from there. Uh,
Right now, like they come in, they have to study. If whatever they have studies is in demand,
yeah.
then they have to give IELTS, general IELTS, to get the work permit, not to get the PR. So they give IELTS. Okay, the skill is in demand. Let's say accounting is in demand. They
So
get
you're saying
they get
before
the work
studies?
permit
Oh, work
before
permit.
applying work permit.
So after you're done, so
After
if
you're done,
somebody's
yeah.
if somebody's coming from India or from outside as a work permit, is that what you're saying? Or
No, no. Like if they're coming on study permit
right?
and they want to go through the postgraduate work permit path, which
Uh,
is getting a work permit after you're done studying.
yeah,
Earlier, it was like, okay, you have completed your studies. Here's your work permit, right?
yeah.
Now it's like, okay, you have completed your studies. Is that skill in demand? Okay, it is. Now give general IELTS.
Mm,
Then and only will give you the work permit. And there, I think it's 666 each you have to get in IELTS
mm,
score, and then and only you get the work permit. Otherwise, you don't even get the work permit. So chances of going till the PR
yeah,
are now difficult.
yeah,
Just a year ago, it was like, okay, we need workers, we need people in Canada because it's only, I think, 30 million population, right? So we need people. But now it's like, oh, we have too many people. We are closing the doors.
yeah. I think right now it's not just the too many people thing. It's also that because of after effects of COVID, a lot of
Hmm.
companies, they're not, maybe they're on hiring freeze, or they're not hiring more or giving out more projects,
Yeah.
or I don't know, I'm guessing. But either way, there's less demand of work, and then people who are,
Outsourcing.
yeah, so people who are already here,
Hmm.
there's no opportunities for them. Same thing was It was the same thing when I had to buy a house, because when you have to buy a house, it's almost the same, because there's less houses and a lot of people.
Hmm.
So houses are always in demand, and rent. People are always asking for rent. People are always coming in, but as a government, as a whole, there's less houses. So people
100%.
are just coming in. So there's less houses, less job opportunities for people who are already here.
Hmm.
So they're like, okay, we're gonna stop for a little bit,
Yeah,
make sure make sure people comes in, slowly,
yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like that. Or we only make sure that people who are really skilled
yeah, yeah.
come in, right?
100%.
um yeah, so that's Ottawa.
Yeah,
uh
that's auto.
yeah.
Everything is changing nowadays, so you cannot predict like what's gonna happen next.
Hope things are good afterwards.
Let's
um
hope.
um I wanted to walk through your life and kind of,
Hmm.
maybe we can touch on some things that
Yeah, hundred
that you
percent.
that you went through, that I already know, and maybe shine some light. You used to, where were you born? Were you born in Kalol or
I was born in Kalol.
Kalol? So it's a town in Gujarat,
Yeah,
India, where we're really close. I lived in Kadi for a long time,
yeah.
8 9 years. I wasn't born there, but I lived there, which is
Hmm.
close to Kalol,
Yeah,
and
very
then
close,
super close.
very close.
Yeah, yeah. So I
Yeah.
was kind of grew up over there.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I have a
Uh,
lot of friends coming from Kadi.
Yeah, yeah, they
Yeah,
used to, because Kadi is a really smaller town than Kalol.
yeah.
But then, so yeah, so tell me, how was the experience? What do you remember?
So Kalol is like it's not that big city. It's not that big to be called a city. I think it's more of like a town. Any direction you go 10 kilometers, and that's the border of Kalol. So everything is very accessible. You find good street food, you find good clothing, you find everything in that 10 kilometer of range. So Kalol, that's where I lived for 14 years of my life, right? So Kalol is, I have a lot of friends over there. I know each and every street. I know each and every shop in Kalol. So it was fun. Just because it's a small town, I know that, hey, if you want to buy this pair of clothes, you'll find it at that shop. Hey, if you want to buy this, you'll find it at that shop. In Ahmedabad, it's a big city, like it's a mega city. You can get lost, and I don't know any streets in Ahmedabad, to be honest. So Kalol was fun. Yeah, my dad used to work in Syntex. They
Right.
make plastic tanks, so that's where he used to work. And childhood was fun. We had a little bit of struggles here and there financially, and things were going until
Good.
14 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So things were there here. I know eventually you moved to Kenya. Your
yeah,
parents moved to Kenya because you said financially things were here and there.
yeah, yeah.
Um, how old were you when you were in Kalol? So for what time period?
So as far as I know, it was 2015. I was 15 years old,
Right.
and till that time, I was in Kalol. And then my dad first got a job from Kenya, which is in East Africa. It's a small country in East Africa, so he got a good opportunity over there. So he moved by himself first. He lived there for a few months, I think almost about a year. And then my mom and my sister, they decided to join him. Since I was in class 10th, I wasn't taken. I was told that, hey, you're in year 10, finish your studies, and then finish your year 11 and 12, and then decide that, hey, wherever you want to do the college, you go there. You're not coming to Kenya because Kenya is not a developed country, right?
Right.
So there's no future education wise.
So why would you move over there then?
Uh, so my uncle went there for a tour, and he found that there are so many plastic companies which
Oh,
are developing, right? And there is always good opportunities when you're in a developing country rather than a developed country, because developed country always asks for good education. There is a lot of competition. Like if you're finding a job in Toronto, you'll have a lot of competition compared to if you go somewhere like in Calgary, which is in Alberta, right? Or if you go in Saskatchewan, you won't face that much of competition compared to the competition that you face in Toronto or Vancouver. So same thing, same rule was applying over there. Like Kalol, there was a lot of competition. India, there was a lot of competition as a whole. So Kenya, he got good 3 to 4 opportunities as far as I'm aware, and he took the best one.
ah, nice.
Yeah,
Um,
he went there as a tourist just to see how things are, and he loved it. Yeah, there were like 6 plastic companies which were willing to take interview, and out of 6, like 3 or 4 were willing to give him a job.
so he went there as a as
Yeah,
a as a job,
yeah, he went there as a
to
manager.
look for, or as a manager to
As a
in a
gen
company.
in a company. Yeah, so he's
Right.
currently still he's still a manager, and
Yeah.
we are trying to get our own small little company in Somalia.
Somalia, right?
Yeah, which is the neighbor country of Kenya. It's like, yeah, it's very close. You can drive to
Is
Somalia by Kenya. Yeah,
how long is the drive?
I think 8 hours. Flight is like 1 hour, 1 to 2 hours of flight time, and eight to 9 hours of driving.
Right.
Yeah.
So when he moved to he how old was he?
How old was he? That's a question. I think he was.
Were you like you were born and stuff, right? You were
I
probably
was born. I
small,
was 15 years old, so it's hard to calculate his age. My age, I
right?
can
So you were
calculate.
around 15,
I
and
was
then at
15
that
years
time you
old.
saw your
Yeah,
father
yeah,
move.
yeah.
He moved for a little bit, and then eventually you moved as well.
Hmm.
He then mom went over there afterwards. You said,
Afterwards, like after a year,
yeah.
and I was told to stay in India to finish my higher education, to finish my studies, because Kenya, they don't have the best education, right? So
Mm.
uh, I was told that, hey, finish your year 10, because boards exam, they're like huge in India, right? Boards, which is year 10 and 12. I don't know what it is right now. Back then it was 10 and 12. I was told to finish that, and then I can decide which country I want to go to.
What do you mean, which country?
Like, obviously, if I want to stay in India and do a bachelor's degree, or if I want to come to Canada, go to United States, go to Australia, wherever I want to go, but finish your 10 and 12, and then you decide where you want to go.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's what I was told, but obviously I didn't do that.
And so, why didn't you do it? I know, because tell us about why didn't you do it?
The primary and the main thing, I was a kid and I was a very stubborn person back then. So it was my mom. I used to miss her a lot. As soon as my mom and my sister they left me, I'm like, shit, things are not going to work out. I was one of the topper in year 9. Like, I used to get
In
90%,
grade 9.
85%, yeah, in grade 9, right? But then as soon as my mom left, my grades started dropping, and I was getting somewhere about 70, and then 65, 60. Things were going downside, right? And I was told that, okay, it's not going to happen. You're not going to crack year 10.
So who were you living with?
I was living with my uncle, my mama.
Your
Yeah. So my dad, my mom's brother,
okay.
like, my
His
mom,
house basically.
yeah,
So
his house basically. It was fun. Yeah. He's a good friend. We are a good family. But the thing that I missed was my mom. Like, she used to get me good food. She used to care about me. Those things, like, I was missing my family. I was homesick. And I'm like, okay, if you're gonna keep me here, I'm not gonna study. I'm not gonna study. Do whatever you like.
grade 9, right?
Yeah, grade 10,
Grade 10.
grade 10, and then
Yeah.
eventually, I was also told that, hey, what are you gonna do in life? Like, you're not gonna be a successful person if you do it this way. If you don't finish your year 10, your career is ruined. It's called, I think, SSC certificate,
Mm.
secondary school certificate. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
SSC
Yeah.
certificate. So at least get your
And
SSC
there's an
certificate.
HSC, higher secondary. Yeah.
Yeah.
SSC and then HSC.
So at least get your SSC certificate, and then you can become maybe a farmer or do whatever you like. But at
Right.
least get SSC certificate.
Yeah.
That's what
Get
I
the
was told. I'm like, if my mom is
high
not
school,
here,
right? That's
yeah,
get to high
high
school.
school. If my mom is not here, that's not gonna happen. So eventually, I was very stubborn, and eventually they're like, okay, this guy is not gonna listen to anyone. Let's just take him with us to Kenya. And I went with them to Kenya, and I only lived about 4 to 5 months without my mom. And then I was happily united with my family again.
Happily united with my family again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's.
How did it work out? So, were you a topper over there after you went there?
So as soon as
Because
I went there, the first thing that I counted was, Kenya is, they speak English as the first language. English is the first language in Kenya, and Swahili is the second language. So as soon
in
as I,
in school, or is it in
everywhere as a
in
whole
town
country,
in Kenya?
in Kenya,
First language is English,
English, yeah. The
and what's
second
the second
language,
language?
Swahili.
Swahili.
Swahili. They speak Swahili as their second language and English as first language. I didn't know any of those. English. Okay, I was studying in English medium school, but we don't speak English in Indian schools. We
Right.
speak in Hindi or Gujarati, right? So I know how to write English. I know how to speak English, but it's broken English.
Hmm.
And in my school, everyone used to speak English. Like, because they were born in Kenya, born and brought up in Kenya, so they speak English as soon as they are born.
So you were okay. You fit in fine.
Yeah, I fit in fine, but my first initial phase was a little bit challenging. Like I
Mm.
wasn't getting Kenyan accent. I wasn't able to catch what they're trying to say.
But it's still English, though, right?
Yeah, it's still English.
And you already learned English over here
Yeah,
in India.
in India,
So,
but I
but it
never
was
spoke
different.
English.
Oh, it was always
Yeah, it was
learning.
always the challenge of speaking that, hey, my accent is that Indian
Right,
accent,
because
right?
if we are in English medium school, because we have when we are in Gujarat, we have Gujarati is our first language, and then we have an English medium school, and there's an Gujarati medium school.
Yeah,
Um, Usually, people go to Gujarati medium, but
yeah,
then people now there's a lot of people who are going to English
English.
medium and everything because now people know. But um, i- when I before like 15, 20 years, it was mostly Gujarati
Gujarati,
medium that
yeah.
people would go to, and then English medium was less. But we
Mm,
already even when you study in English medium school, it's not like uh, you have to speak in English all the
mm,
time. It would be people from Gujarat, and you would have people coming from different states sometimes, and you would probably be speaking Hindi, which is our national language, or Gujarati mostly when you were talking to people, friends among the class.
yeah,
So and then you would have subjects, and you would have classes for Gujarati, Hindi, and as a language you learn maths, science, and of course the normal stuff.
yeah,
Uh, but yeah.
yeah. So initial phase of Kenya was I had that language barrier basically
Mm.
because I never spoke English. I can write English. I cannot speak that much. I cannot speak fluently as compared to what other people used to speak. So whenever we are playing games, whenever we are trying to chat with our friends, there's always a language barrier that, hey, this guy won't be involved in the conversation much. People often used to call me that I'm a quiet person.
Were you the only Indian in the class kind of
No,
thing,
we
or
had other Indians. We had other Indians. That's where I met my childhood friend Ishan. So he's
Ishan?
one of my childhood friend. He came during the same period. He came few months before me, and we are still friends. It's been like almost 10 years now. So that's where I met Ishan. He was from Ahmedabad, and we shared the same background. Like, okay, he's recent from India. I am recent from India, and we were good friends. Slowly things were better. I started to understand. I started to speak English. I learned new skills. Studying in Kenya was relatively easy than India because I was doing a grade 10 in India, and now I was in grade 9. I was given 1 year uh, of like basically I was told to repeat
Repeat?
year
Yeah.
9 because I didn't meet the criteria, right? So I was told to repeat year 9. It was very easy compared to India. Indian
Right.
education is tough when you compare it with foreign
Oh,
countries.
for sure. I would agree with you. I
Yeah,
cannot agree with you anymore. I mean, I cannot with you. I can agree with you.
yeah,
Um, Overall studies I've noticed in Canada, US,
mm,
regardless of what course you take, overall I feel like India's education is more tougher. It's competitive as well, tougher in terms of more pressure on a student. Plus, there is other factors that play effect in that, which is socializing, and then people. We're highly social. We as an Indians, we are not just involved in our family. Everybody's families is involved in us. We are involved in others families, and it's we have to answer to everybody. Everybody has an eye on us as a
yeah,
student. That's kind of how the Indian culture works.
mm,
That's the difference.
that's the
So
difference.
you have
Yeah,
to. So Kenya was good. You started learning
yeah.
eventually,
Started learning eventually.
and you cracked afterwards. You
Yeah,
were scoring good.
yeah. Eventually, I got to a stage where I used to get good marks. I was good in
Yeah,
sports. Everything worked out at the end of the day. And then, as soon as I was in grade 11, that's when I decided that, hey, I want to go to Canada now. And that's
Canada.
when things again changed for me. This
Canada.
time around, my family was more scared because after what I did in grade 10, they were like, this guy's not going to survive in Canada. He's going to come
Come
back.
back. He's gonna.
I'm like, Okay, we'll see.
Mama. Oh, it was more on mummy, right? You wanted
Yeah, yeah.
more on mama.
Because for me, coming to Canada was like, it was like a picture that I see on Instagram that, hey, this guy's using iPhone. This guy's living a good life. This guy's living with his friends. He's living in a beautiful house. That's what I saw. I didn't see the struggle. But obviously, my mom and dad, they are more grown grown ups
Experienced,
than
yeah.
me, right? They have more experience than me. So they knew that it's going to be a big struggle for him. Now, this guy didn't survive in India when we left him in grade 10. How is he going to survive the struggle that he's going to see in Canada? And then they had a backup plan, but yeah, luckily we didn't have to use the backup plan.
What was the backup plan?
Backup plan was that when he's going to come back, not saying that, hey, I don't like Canada, we're going to get him admission to a junior college in Kenya. That's what my dad planned, that okay, even if he comes back, I have this junior college where I can get him the admission and he's going to stay with us. It's okay, a little bit of money wasted, that's fine, he learned a lesson. But luckily that money isn't wasted, so
That's good.
yeah.
So you live over here, and then the family is back home in Kenya.
Yeah, they're
Uh,
still in Kenya.
it's still Kenya, and
Still in
then
Kenya.
your dad. You said you had we were talking about this earlier, and then you mentioned there was a cool story that you wanted to share, and I don't know if you remember this, but I told you let's hold off and then let's just talk about it in the podcast.
Hmm.
I wanted to talk to you about because your dad moving from India at that time with your family. Imagine if I had my family, if I had a 15-year-old, I wouldn't know how I would react.
Hmm.
But I know for sure that leaving your family and then going and starting a life in another country,
Yeah.
it's a risk. Even if you know you have a job, and it's still a risk. It's still a risk because you're away from family. Nobody knows. It's nobody knows you're there.
Yeah.
It's a big thing. So respect to your dad for sure for that. Maybe we can learn a thing or two from him.
From him. Yeah.
So so please tell us.
So whatever I have learned from my dad is it's are always great things. Whatever he has achieved. So back in India, we were like a lower level middle class family in India. My dad used to work 7 to 7, 7 days a week, which is 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, not getting a day off, and still the salary wasn't enough. As I mentioned, I was in English medium. The fees is higher than Gujarati medium, right? Always English medium, you gotta pay. I think it's 3-4 thousand a month. Same thing for my little sister. So I have a younger sister who is 3 years younger than me. Same thing for her. So expenses were too much, and my dad and mom, they're thinking that, hey, how are we gonna tackle this? This is difficult now. It's getting more difficult and difficult. Now soon this guy is going to be in a college. How are we going to get the fees for college? Soon this guy is going to demand that, hey, I want to go to Canada. How are we going to get the fees for Canada? So my dad, he started applying different jobs. That was within the bounds of India. Obviously, he started applying jobs in Gujarat. He started applying everywhere. He's like, I want to do this for my family. And then eventually my uncle told him that, hey, at least go to Kenya for once and see how things are. He went to Kenya. He had few interviews ready where he wanted to give the interviews, and as soon as I think it was his third interview, the third company he was going to go and interview over there. A scared thing happened to him, which is a police caught him giving him interviews because you're on tourist visa. You cannot give interviews just like that, right? You're not on a work visa. You're not on a permanent resident status. You don't have a Kenyan passport. You're just here to see things as a tourist, not
Right,
give interviews.
right. Yeah, you're not
So
allowed. It's a
yeah,
tourist visa.
yeah. The police over there, they wear a blue uniform, which for us coming from India doesn't look like a police, but they are police. So my dad is like, hey, where's this hotel? Asking a policeman, thinking that okay, this guy is not a police. This guy is a building security or something. And that guy is like, why are you looking for this address again? My dad's like, oh, I have an interview. Like, okay, come with me. Let's go to the police station.
Did he not know that there was a you cannot do it? You cannot tell them that you were there for the interview?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I was very young back then.
Right.
This is like a story which I was told by my dad.
So they caught like they took him outside or they took him on the
They
side.
took him outside, and Kenya there is a lot of corruption. So obviously you gotta stay away from police as much as you can. Even if you are not at fault, you will be at fault if you're caught.
There's a lot of corruption at that time, probably
Yeah,
not so much as now, but
now things are getting better, but
yeah.
yeah, it's a whole different world. So as soon as he was taken to the police, some of the friends, they came in, they helped him, they got him out. It wasn't anything fancy. Like, you can give interviews, as far as I know. That's why he was released, right? And then he was released, and the boss, this was the company where my dad is working right now.
So what do you mean by he was released?
He wasn't told anything. He was like, okay, oh,
He
you're
was he? Did they put him in jail or something, or
no, no,
they detained
just
him?
sitting at a table.
Oh right, so they took him to the police station.
Yeah, and
Then
tried
they
to scare him off because they thought he's a tourist. He doesn't know Kenyan rules and
they wanted to get
regulations.
money or something. Or
Obviously, yeah,
obviously, right?
hundred
Yeah,
percent, 100%. They're asking that, hey, give me 5,000, give me 10,000, give me this. And then my dad, obviously, he has some local friends who he called to get him
yeah,
help, and
yeah.
those local friends came in time. They helped him, and finally he was like, okay, you can go, sir. Nothing fancy. There's no record of this on the paper. There is nothing on his background. So yeah, he was like, okay, you can go on, live your life. And the guy who was waiting at that hotel for the
Yeah,
interview
yeah.
drove to my dad's place where he was living in
Oh,
Kenya,
right, right, right.
right? And then finally they had their interview. He was a good candidate and he was hired for the position, and he's still working at that same company
On the same day,
on
I
this
mean, not the same day, but
a day
same
or
day he went to the to interview, or
no, no,
other
I
day,
think it was the next day
but
when they,
same trip,
yeah, but the same trip.
same trip, same
And when
same.
he came back to India, he was scared that, okay, things are tricky in Kenya. How am I gonna survive? But back of his mind, I want to do this for my family. That's what
Right.
he had, and then he's like, okay, I'm still gonna go and live there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We that's yeah. I wouldn't know how I would
yeah.
feel if I was in
Like,
that
just
same
imagine
place.
you're in a country, you're trying to give interview, and they take you that, hey, come with me.
Yeah,
How would you feel? Like, you'd be scared, but he handled it very nicely.
yeah, yeah. Probably did. You we talked. You said I, this was something we talked about earlier as well. You
Mhm.
mentioned you could you always feel like you don't do enough, or you won't be able to do enough for your family as much as your dad
That
did,
has done, yeah,
or
100%.
somewhere you feel like there's a thing where you won't be able to make your father proud.
So how I keep myself motivated is by looking at my dad. Like, people always say that your dad has done great things. He has achieved something in his life, and I want to do the same. That I have achieved something in my life as well. I don't want to be called that this guy is a waste of his father. I want to be rather called that he's going to make his dad proud one day. And my dad, he has set standards such high that they're very difficult for me to reach now. But I keep on trying my best. Keep on trying my best to make them proud.
So what do you mean by high standards? Because see, it's it's already difficult for one to move to another country,
Mhm.
as you did now. If I speak about you, from Kenya to Canada,
Yeah.
start a life, work, and do your life. It's already difficult as it is. What do you mean by he has higher standards than that? Like
So I remember,
it's not it's a good thing, of course, because
yeah,
he's your dad. He wants to push you, wants to see you do
yeah.
your best. So, but what are the
I remember, like, back in India, uh, we used to drive from Kalol to our village, which is in Masana, on a bike, four of us. So we didn't have a car. We didn't have that much money that we could afford a car. We finally got a car, which was a used car. From that level of struggle, right now I can drive my own car. My dad has his own car. Even if my sister wants a car, we can get one. And even if my mom wants a car, we can get one. So that's what my dad has achieved. Like, that's what my dad worked
achieving?
on achieving for himself and for the family. Obviously, I am in Canada just because we could afford the fees, and that was it's all because of my dad. Like, I if we were still in India, and if my dad was still at the same company, they wouldn't be able to afford the fees of Canada. It's $8,000 per semester, right? So yeah, as soon as he went to Kenya, he started working his own way up. And at that time, I was 15 years old, so I used to see my dad. I used to see him go at the work. I used to see him climbing those levels of success, I guess. And I have seen him that, okay, this is how you become something in life from nothing. And that's where everything comes in my mind, that hey, I want to do something like him. I want to climb up those stairs every single day, just like my dad did. And one day I want to be called that, hey, you have achieved something more than your dad. You're going to make him proud. That's what I want to hear from other people. And I'm trying my best.
That's great.
Trying my best.
That's good. That's good. That's really good.
Yeah.
That's he. I wanted to talk more about
Hmm.
life in Kenya, how that is, how it is for Indians, right? Because if we, as immigrants, um, you said at that time there was businesses. Is it this still the same thing? If somebody wants to go maybe make money in Kenya, like how is it? How does it work for Indians?
So right now things have definitely changed. They are trying to help locals first, obviously, as all the countries are doing, same as Canada, that they're closing everything for locals. Same thing in Kenya, they're closing everything for locals. But back in those, but still there are a lot of businesses which are owned by Indians. A lot of Indians work good positions over there. Even a lot of Kenyans, they work good positions over there. But right now things are getting difficult. If you want to go Kenya, it's tricky to get a job, because you have to get a work permit, which is very expensive. And work permit are usually done by the employers, which is, I think I forgot how much the cost was, 500,000 shillings, which is Kenya's local currency.
How much is that in Indian rupees?
350,000 roughly. 350,000 rupees for 2 years.
350,000. That's 3,50,000 rupees.
Rupees, three
Mm,
lakh fifty
in
thousand
rupees.
rupees for 2 years, and that you have to do every 2 years. So obviously, a company is not willing to pay that much. They would just hire a local rather
Mm.
than bringing someone from India, sponsoring them for work permit. And obviously, if someone is coming from India, they'll be higher. They'll be demanding higher pay than a local.
How is it for businesses?
Businesses, it's not the best. Right now is not the best time. The golden period was like 10 years ago,
Mm.
where you can invest money. Right now, if you try to, there are a lot of Chinese companies, a lot of Indian companies which are trying to take over. So if you're trying to invest money in Kenya, it might not be the best.
So maybe there was a time
Yeah,
where it was easier, and
where
then
it
I
was
think
easier.
obviously people will take opportunities.
Yeah,
They will take the benefit of the opportunities, which they should. But now it's not the case
now
anymore,
it's not the case.
right? Your family and you guys, family still there.
Family still there,
You
my
still
dad.
visit them once in a while,
Yeah,
kind of
once in a
thing.
while.
And then
100%.
now you've been doing trips to US as well. So
Yeah.
driving to US, coming back,
Coming back,
uh,
yeah,
US, Canada. That's a lot of traveling.
it's a lot of
I,
traveling.
I
Yeah.
had a. It's the same thing with me too. I was born in Botad. That's
Mm-hmm.
part of Gujarat.
Mm-hmm.
Then I moved to Solapur,
Mm-hmm.
which is close to Mumbai and Maharashtra, Mumbai, that area. And then right away after I was born. So I
Mm-hmm.
was born right away, moved there with family, and then in 2 3 years I moved back to Kadi.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time I think 4 years old, 4 or 5 years old,
Yeah.
maybe even 5 6. But then from I remember second standard to 10th standard I was in Kadi.
Mm-hmm.
Then our school didn't have 11th and 12th
Mm-hmm.
because the school was still comparatively smaller, and then so I had to
Mm-hmm.
move to do 11th standard, which is higher
Oh,
secondary over here.
yeah, yeah,
Higher secondary, high school. So
yeah,
and then I had to move. So it was a lot of moving for me as well. So I know how it is.
yeah, yeah. 100%. Traveling here, and it's sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's not fun. Sometimes it's like, oh, I don't want to go anywhere this weekend. I just want to be home.
Yeah,
And sometimes like, oh, why am I home this weekend? I want to be somewhere. It,
yeah,
yeah, it always changes as per your mood, I guess.
yeah.
Sometimes you're in a mood that you want to do something outdoor, you'll feel like you're locked inside.
You cannot do anything right now
Yeah,
outdoors. Everything
yeah,
is it's snow. It's like
yeah.
minus 17, 16
Minus
right now.
17, 16. Yeah,
Yeah,
feels like it's minus 17.
yeah. And it's cold. What would you do on the weekends when you were in Toronto?
Just used to chill with friends, watch
Friends.
TV, have snacks in the morning, eat. Yeah,
Same thing over here.
same thing over here. Over here, I sleep more compared to
Yeah,
going out.
I've noticed it's the same thing for us because we used to sleep in Toronto. We used to live in a rental place, so there
Mm.
was people living upstairs, people living in the basement, and we were in the middle floor. And
Mm.
people would always walk, and there's always been noises.
Yeah,
And then, uh, unluckily, in Toronto, when I used to live there, there was a fire truck place
no,
right around the corner, and then they would always drive by. So there would always be noises. You
yeah,
would always see those fire truck noises, sirens all the time,
yeah.
and then it would be difficult to sleep.
Mm.
It wasn't just the quality of sleep that I was getting. It was also over here. I feel like it's more calmer. It's
Yeah,
like you sleep deeper. It's not just the time. You just sleep
yeah,
more and you just sleep deep. Sometimes I feel like you when your body doesn't get that enough deep sleep, when your body the stress of the I think the body stress it collects. It's a collect I think that's just me. I'm not a
mm.
scientist or a pro. I'm just talking to myself how I feel. I think then I think the stress collects, and then when you come to a calmer place, when you have to sleep, when you get to sleep nicely, you
Yeah,
just recover all that, and you just
100%,
sleep more, and you cover that. So because
100%.
same thing happened with me and my wife when we moved to Ottawa, we slept more deeper for at least
Yeah,
a few days, and
yeah,
then our routine started. Um,
yeah,
that's what I feel like.
yeah. Sleeping in Ottawa is different than sleeping in Hamilton, Toronto, anywhere that region because it's more denser. There is a lot of population and a lot of noise, which can affect the sleep. And plus, this place is cold, right? Compared to
Colder, yeah, it's a
yeah,
little colder
yeah,
than
it's a little colder than Toronto, so you always get that nice sleep when things are cold and you're in your blanket feeling cozy.
yeah.
It's always fun.
That's for sure.
That's always fun.
1 second, I'm just gonna close this balcony.
Yeah,
I'm trying to take this in one take,
okay,
just so I don't have to edit everything out.
yeah.
I wanted to talk to you about Canada, life in Canada. We already talked about Ottawa in general.
Mhm.
How do you feel like about Canada and US comparatively? You've been traveling to US recently,
Recently, yeah.
and then we spoke about it last time, and you told me that if you have we were talking about the citizenship.
Citizenship,
So
yeah.
if I'm a citizen over here, if you get a citizenship over here in Canada, explain to us more on how you can get jobs and how does the job market work.
So I haven't done much of research, but whatever research I have done, I can share about that. Basically, they have a program called TN visa, which is a signed policy between Canada, Mexico, and the United States. So if you're a citizen of any of those countries, you can work in any of those countries. All the just the condition is that you have to have a valid job offer letter. So let's say if a company is willing to offer you a letter, you just take that offer letter, go to the border by car, or if you're taking flight, you just go to the airport and show them that the offer letter, here's the offer letter. They issue the work permit right there and then. There is no application. You don't have to wait for anything, and then the next day you can start working. It's as easy as that. But this is whatever research I have done. There might be something more, but as far as I know, and I'm confident about this, that this is how it is. There is something called TN visa.
Right.
Yeah,
So it's
all
yeah,
you
that
need
was
is a job offer letter.
right. Yeah.
So
So if anybody who is a citizen in
citizen,
Canada, they are totally
yeah,
free to apply
just
to
close your
jobs.
eyes, start applying, and see where it gets you.
Don't close your eyes and apply. Uh, what this is joking is um what he means is
Yeah,
just go for it, just
go
go
for it. Yeah.
if you're a citizen, if you already live here, and because it's already a lot of struggle for you to come to Canada, get your citizenship,
Mm-hmm.
and then if you want to apply for US, if you're looking for jobs already,
Mm-hmm.
don't be afraid to apply to the states, to
Yeah,
US.
yeah,
Job market is tough in Canada, and if you are already a citizen, um, kudos to you. You
yeah.
can apply to
You
the
can apply to the
it's
United
it's an
States.
open market.
Open 100%. Plus, it depends on field to field. Some jobs might be better in Canada to get, easier to get, while some jobs might be better to get in United States. I am in IT, right? So for me, United States has more opportunities than Canada because of the Silicon Valley. There are so many tech
Yeah,
companies,
yeah,
Google, Microsoft. Everything is in the United States. You can There are more opportunities when it comes to IT market of Canada versus US.
yeah.
Yeah,
Plus, it works out in your favor in terms of if you are in a situation like you are. So if you are maybe like alone who's working over here away from your family, stuff like that, or maybe like if you don't have a lot of things set up. I mean, even if you do have it, and if you have a good job, and if you're a citizen, you should go for it.
mhm,
If you're not getting a job in Canada, or
yeah,
if you're open to move, right?
yeah,
um, yeah, because market is tough right now.
yeah,
The IT market is really tough. It's
it's
hard
tough.
to get a job.
Yeah,
And then we are lucky to have jobs. There's a lot of
100%.
skilled workers here in Canada now. A lot of graduates who are looking for jobs. A lot of people who came from different countries, not just India.
Yeah,
And then they are insanely skilled. They're looking for jobs over here. So job market is tough.
hmm,
US and Canada, both places, I guess I can say it's safe to
both
say.
places.
Do you
Yeah,
think do you think the US market for IT is better than Canada market
a
for
little
you?
bit easier, a little bit
Easier?
better, but if you compare overall,
Yeah,
it is still tough.
it's
It's
tough.
not like okay, in the United States you're gonna get a job in 5 days. It does take a month or so.
Mm. And then plus now with the government change in US as well, I think from the immigration side, I was
Yeah,
again, don't quote me on this, but I know they were gonna ease out the. I mean, they were gonna make it difficult for immigrants in US as well as a student. I
yes,
think, right, to even get studies and to get to work because of the America First policy, I guess,
yeah,
or for students. I'm saying not for workers, not for the
yeah.
people who wants to come from different countries as workers or in a work permit kind of thing, or I-20 is it? No, I-20 is the
Uh,
student.
H1B1.
H1B1 is a work permit in America, so it's different from them. But I can talk about the student. It's difficult.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, IT market. He himself is titled as IT infrastructure engineer.
Mhm.
Um, how long have you been in IT for?
About 3, 4 years now.
4 years.
2021 is when I started everything. It's when I got my first opportunity in IT.
That's when you
So
got your first opportunity, but you also studied for IT when you
yeah,
came to Canada.
yeah.
So
If we account that, about 6 years,
this is so. How many years did you study?
3 years of studies.
3 years study.
Yeah.
What college and what course did you take, if you don't mind me
So
asking?
yeah, I started in 2028, 2018 September intake, which was Mohawk College. I did computer engineering technology, which is a 3 years diploma, right? It was, they call it mechatronics, so it also covers basics of mechanical and electrical engineering. On top of that, it covers technical aspect of IT, right? So that's what I studied. It was a 3 years course, uh, fairly easy,
Right.
not that difficult, but it depends person to person. Everything changes.
And what kind of the course is probably still open right
Yeah,
now.
it
What
is.
kind of opportunities do you get in job market after you study that course?
So
Because you said it's not proper IT. I mean,
it's
it's not IT. It's a mix of two
it's a
courses
mix of three: mechanical, electrical, and computer.
and computer. So what kind of jobs do you get after?
So the major jobs that you can get with mechatronics is anywhere in automation, robotics, PLC, which is programmable ladder logic. You can get anywhere in opportunities in those fields. The reason why I went with IT is because all of the positions that I told you requires a bit of experience, right? So getting an
Hmm,
entry level position is very tough in robotics. No one is going to give you $1 million robot to program
right.
without experience. So I tried my best to get a job in robotics, but I couldn't. And that's when I started my first job as IT service desk. I was lucky to get an IT job in Mohawk College. I was referred by a friend, obviously, and then I
Why
started
do you
my
say it obviously?
because it's tough getting your first job, and
Yeah,
I got it in like a month or so.
right,
So people they ask me that how come you got a job in 1 month
right. Yeah,
just
true.
after your studies? How come you got a job this quick?
Yeah.
So I always tell
So,
them I was referred
referral,
I
that's
was
why.
referred by a friend.
Right. Yeah.
Referrals are always great. Always try to connect with people on LinkedIn. Always try to connect with people who are in the field. Always try to stay in touch with people who are studying with you.
Yeah.
Keep your contacts open, right?
Yeah.
They might help you anytime.
Networking is
Yeah,
is
networking is important.
is
So
important.
yeah,
Yeah.
I have few friends who are in IT and looking for a job from past 4 months, and they cannot find a job. So if you have referrals, it's better. You get the opportunities much quicker than someone who doesn't have a referral. So my first job was Mohawk College itself, where I studied as IT service desk, and then about a year and a half, I got my second opportunity, which was at a different company as a analyst,
IT analyst,
IT analyst,
right?
and a systems engineer.
Systems engineer,
Yeah.
right? So, excuse me. What did you do as a IT analyst and systems engineer?
So with the second position, I had to wear a lot of hats. Sometimes I was doing service desk tasks. Sometimes I was doing something more complicated, which is server side of things. Sometimes as an analyst, I was looking at a business side of IT. That hey, if we are getting this licenses, is it better than previous license? Or for example, let's say we have Microsoft 365 for which we are paying 100,000. Should we get Google because it's 50,000?
Mm,
Google Business Suite,
right.
right? So you have to assess. You have to see that hey, Google is offering this features, Microsoft is offering. So that's business aspect of IT. Engineer aspect is like okay, 100 users are being affected by a VPN issue,
Mm,
not one user. So that's more complicated than helping someone with a broken laptop. And
right.
then
Yeah.
sometimes let's say the service desk guys are not there, so you have to help someone with changing a battery of a laptop or any simple issue that hey, I'm not able to log in, what's my ID, can you reset my
Yeah.
ID
Basically,
password?
your help desk
Yeah,
issues.
that
That's
role gave me a lot of learning in different roles, and because I used to wear different hats, right? So I learned quite a bit.
learned a lot. That's the best way to go in IT. IT is vast, so I don't speak for everything in IT.
Yeah.
Obviously, I speak on the networking, help desk, IT infrastructure side of things.
Mhm.
So if you're around that realm in IT, the best way for you to go is to once you're passed out of your like once you're done with your education. So the first thing is find a course program which already has a co-op. So if you're good, if you study good, if you're
Mhm.
brilliant, if you have some skills, you can do co-op where people would
Yeah.
come for jobs in colleges, and then you can find opportunities over there. That's the first thing you go for. But if you don't have that choice for co-op, you can take a course. After you're done with the course, once you have
Mhm.
the permit, you start looking for jobs on any entry level IT job you can find.
Mhm.
um Obviously, which comes in this realm. I'm not talking about
Yeah.
as a junior developer or anything, because you cannot be a junior developer if you study
Yeah.
networking and help
Networking.
desk
Yeah.
infrastructure side of things. But if you're in that side,
Mhm.
you want to look for any job that you can find in the beginning as an entry level in any company, because all companies needs techies, or techies at a level where they can come ask and have day to day break fix done. So lock in and lock in their accounts as a company. They have their own tools and stuff. They have their own teams, which at any level, if it's a smaller company, if it's a bigger
Mhm.
company, you can get and you can apply for jobs. I mean, any company, any level, they need a person where users can go, people can go to and have their issues fixed. if it's a hardware problem, software problem, access issues, plus there is executives in the company which you have to
Yeah.
manage, plus tools you have to manage, softwares, at all those levels. So, and then you can always learn. So there's companies who are looking for a good candidate who has a better communication, clean communication, who dress up good, who knows how customer service looks like.
Yeah.
If you have all those presentation skills, maybe basic skills, explanation skills, even if you don't have the tech experience mostly per
Yeah.
se, they would hire you. They would teach you. They would go, hey, these are the tools we use, these are the softwares and hardwares we use, this is how we fixed it. Because for the company it's not going to be an issue happening for the first time.
Yeah.
They probably have it happen a lot of times. So they already know how it works. You are the one coming into their company, you are the one learning, so they will teach you as long as you're a good candidate in the beginning at least.
100%.
You just have to know a little bit of IT, obviously, because if you studied IT, then you
Yeah.
know. Even if you don't study, I used to have a guy in my previous job who, it was a big, huge company, right? Where I used to work with, it was a retail company, and then the friend who I used to work with, my colleague, he was not a graduate from IT. He did not do IT. He
Mm.
was in his field was he was from Philippines, and his field was, I think, electrical. He used to
Mm.
work somewhere in electrical, but he was into computers. He knew how to install, do the normal stuff, run scans and updates and drivers, install, like all those basic things he knew. And he was interested in IT, and he was a good communicator.
Yeah.
We had an opening for IT support, and we hired him. He did not have any experience in IT.
Mm.
um, but then
Interesting.
when I left, he was with me. He was with me as a senior IT support. A senior IT support in a bigger company, it's good. It's an upper,
Yeah.
it's a good, it's a decent title, one level above IT support, where there's different job duties. You learn a little more advanced in support side, where for me it was working with the executives, C-level executives, supporting them, taking responsibilities of projects, communicating with the external vendors and stuff. So you learn more than just the day-to-day IT support things,
Mm.
where it's not just break fix and stuff. So it's up to you. In IT, how it works is, you are the candidate. You have to put yourself out there, and you have to go, what are the projects I can learn. IT is the
Yeah.
only field, I feel like, because if you think about finance, sales, marketing, they're great. If you're interested in them, if you super awesome, like, if that kicks you. But like, if for
Yeah.
me, I feel like IT is a field where I can speak for IT, because I feel like IT is place where the field kind of comes with you. As much as you want to learn, it's there for you. You can get courses, everything is free,
Yeah.
and then you can always grow, regardless of if business, personal. You can always grow all the time. You have your own time, like you can always do things.
Yeah.
I think where certain fields, you have to, you cannot bring them at home, and you only have
Yeah.
to do them at the, so you can only grow in limited time, as much as you, I guess. Say you have 9 to 5 in a company, or if you're a medical field, certain hours you can do,
Mm.
certain growth things you can do.
100%.
Maybe you change companies,
Yeah.
maybe you change titles, and then you grow that way. But I
Yeah.
think in IT it's different, where you learn as much as you learn,
As
as
much
much
as
as you
you
want to
can.
grow.
It's
You
open
take on
source
more
basically.
skills, yeah. And then, but you have to be, you cannot just think in IT, where you would go, clock in at 9 o'clock and leave at 5 o'clock, and you would just work 9 to 5. You would come home and you would just leave your work. It's great if it works for you. If you want a stable life, if you want that steady income,
Yeah.
cool, no problem. But if you want to grow, IT, right, is continuous growth, improvement. If you want to grow, learn more, you have to put yourself out there.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Lot of certifications, lot of things that you can do online. It's like vast.
Yeah.
Vast. Yeah. IT is vast. That's how I got my second job after Mohawk's first level support. Right. I used to do certifications, which is Azure, AWS, a lot of different certifications. So I had something in my mind that I can share, that hey, I know this.
Yeah.
So
Does it? Um, let's talk about certifications for people who want to start. Let's talk about people who want to grow further, who are now in IT support and who want to advance in their career.
Hmm.
Certifications are, I see them as bridge. So it's not as you collect all those certifications and you would just get a better job. You have to get a certification, do your own projects,
Yeah.
get all that skills,
Yeah.
make a profile, and then sell it to big companies,
Yeah.
kind of, and then
Hundred
they
percent.
will hire you.
Yeah. 100%. So like how I have felt about certifications is the base certificates are always sometimes free or very cheap, like $100 to get,
What do you mean by base
which
certifications?
is entry level certification. Let's say if you're doing entry level certification for AWS, which is cloud practitioner,
I just
it's
want to,
it's I
so
think $100.
yeah, I want to hold you there.
Hmm.
I want them to understand one thing that just clicked in my mind. The certifications are not, it's not, it's not related to the field, because I was confused there for a long time.
Hmm.
Certifications are company specific. So
Yeah.
for Amazon, they're gonna go. We have AWS services as cloud in IT. We would give you certification courses and stuff, and then you learn Amazon. So it's everything related to Amazon. If you want to work in Amazon, or if you want to get those skills where
Hmm.
you can put them in your profile and be like, hey, okay, I have this Amazon skills. I know all that stuff from Amazon, and then whatever companies uses AWS services, then I can apply to those jobs there. So it's not just a networking or an infrastructure thing. It's a cloud thing. It's
Hmm.
company specific. So there's
Companies. Yeah.
Amazon certifications, there's Microsoft certifications,
Yeah.
Cisco certifications for networking if
Yeah.
you want to
Yeah. Yeah.
go, and then there's also CompTIA plus.
CompTIA
CompTIA.
plus. Yep.
So CompTIA is a company which specializes in. I think there are some certifications
More of
which are
general.
more of generic. I think CompTIA is one
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
them.
CompTIA is one of them. 100%.
It doesn't teach you one specific tool. It
Teaches
teaches
you
you the
everything.
environment,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sorry. I think I'm wrong in that way.
Yeah.
But mostly what you're talking about is entry level certifications for those companies, right?
Specific. Yeah.
Right.
Entry
So
level specific certifications. So those are like always easier to get, and I feel like they do help you to get a job, but they are not the best to get a expert level job. What I would recommend is, like, let's say you have a support level job right now, and if you want to advance your career, I don't think an entry level certification is going to make a big of impact.
mhm.
You have to get a second level certification. So for example, let's say you like AWS environment, which is Amazon Web Services environment, and you want to specialize yourself as a cloud engineer or cloud security or anything related to Amazon cloud. You go with the second level of certification, which is AWS solution architect, or you go with something above, which is AWS security. There are a lot of AWS certifications. I'm just talking about Amazon for now, and same thing applies for Microsoft. If you want to go ahead with a Microsoft admin environment, like if you want to manage a Microsoft environment, there is Azure 900, Azure 800, sorry, 900
No,
is the
AZ900.
AZ
It's
900 is the entry level.
right.
AZ
Yeah, the advanced one is
AZ 800,
800,
which
and
is
then
Microsoft Hybrid Server Administration. I don't know the full name, but if you
right.
Google it, I'm pretty sure it's AZ 800.
That's for
That's more advanced. That's for managing hybrid environments of Microsoft, which is on premises and cloud. So what on premises means is all the servers are sitting within the building of a company,
right.
and cloud is somewhere in the cloud, somewhere, some location which we don't know about.
You said AZ800, right?
AZ
I-
8.
Is that specialty for what does it? Is it is this specialty in server
Administrating hybrid
hybrid
environments,
environment? Okay,
Microsoft hybrid environments to be
because
specific.
okay, because then you can. There's a lot of. It's not just AZ. AZ
800.
900 is the basic one, which is entry level for Microsoft in all fields. So you
Yeah.
can pick any field, but you can go to security, networking, infrastructure, any everything. And then server, which you just said hybrid environment. So if you're learning how to manage the hybrid environment, servers,
specific
or
of Microsoft.
for
Yeah.
then you go to the AZ
Then
800. Um,
yeah.
I think I'm doing a course right now which is AZ 104,
What?
104,
Yeah.
which is Azure uh, Azure Administrator. I think it's infrastructure. It's something to do with the
And
administering. Yeah,
I've heard about AZ104, but I don't know
yeah,
specific like what the certification is
Azure
for.
Administrator or something. But then
Yeah.
that's more on the side of solutions architect. So if I want to go
Yeah.
further on a solutions architect side for Microsoft, then that's
Hundred
that.
percent.
Yeah. So certifications is the way to go. You should definitely do that.
Like if you want to grow, do it in your spare time. Or just study something new. Even if you're not doing certification, at least follow technology related websites, pages on
Yeah.
LinkedIn, Instagram, anywhere you can. And everything is evolving, right? So you have to
Mm,
follow the trend.
yeah.
If you don't follow the trend, there are so many services which are outdated, like SCCM, which
Yeah.
is now converted to Microsoft Intune. So you have to learn Intune in
Yeah.
order to go to that stage.
Yeah. It's all.
Just one example, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, you don't have to. You cannot just.
You cannot stick on a legacy application.
Yeah. You can
You have to go with the flow.
go with the flow, and you have to learn. You have to always learn. If you're in IT, I feel like you have to make.
Yeah,
Obviously, it's an. Otherwise, if you have one knowledge, and if you just want to make money off of that,
yeah,
maybe you can make that money stably, but you won't go for the longest time,
hundred
because in
percent,
15-20 years, or maybe in like 5 years, it's gonna change.
100%.
So you should be open to growth, open to leaving old knowledge, and otherwise you won't be able to make up. You won't be able to catch up.
Yeah, that's right, hundred
So that's
percent.
one thing,
Yeah.
right? I had one question that I noticed, and it's a funny one. We're talking about all IT environments and
Hmm.
everything evolving and growth. But I noticed you always use a pen and paper and a diary
Hmm.
anytime you go for like meetings and stuff, and
Yeah, yeah.
always. Why is that? So why do you not use? There's like lots of note taking apps, and
There are a lot of note taking apps, but the thing is, I try to manage less and less stuff, right? And managing a note taking app, like let's say I forget a password. I cannot forget a password. Obviously, I'm in IT, but let's imagine I do forget a password. I have to reset. I have to send myself a code. It's just time consuming for me. Open an app, note it down. I'm more of like a old school type of person. Even when it comes to chatting, I don't like chatting. I like calls. I'm a more of like a old school type of person. A lot of people nowadays they use Snapchat. A lot of social media tools. I don't use them much. I am on WhatsApp, I am on Instagram, I am on Facebook, but I hardly post anything on Instagram. I hardly post anything on Facebook. So same methodology I think applies to my note taking method. That I don't like taking notes on my phone. I don't like taking notes on my laptop. Rather, a book.
so how can you say you love your field? Um, it's not like I'm counter questioning
Yeah,
you. It's just I'm trying to think, because you're in IT, we're in IT, right? We're supposed to, but then what makes
so
you think you're old school, and then you still work in IT?
yeah,
So you're also growing and evolving every day things
every
at
day.
your work, but you also have the mentality of old school. So how do you draw that line? How do you know?
It's like basically IT. I try to stay up with the trend. I know
Right,
what's Snapchat up to. I know what's Instagram up to. I know everything. It's just I don't follow it. I don't go with
right.
the go with Instagram reels. I don't
The
go with Facebook. I don't know what they call it. I think
feeds and whatever.
feeds
Yeah,
or whatever. I don't go with those things, but I know what they're up to. So I am following, but at the same time, I'm trying to keep myself away from it,
yeah,
such that I stay a little bit old school, right? Like let's assume from tomorrow I keep my notebook aside and I start taking notes on my apps on
right,
my laptop on my phone. One day I'll forget how to hold a pen,
right.
right? So it's like remember your past, along with go with the future. So I'm trying to put my past, which I didn't have a phone when I grew up,
Right.
along with now I have a phone, But let's not forget that one day I was using a notebook, a pen and paper.
It's also a
Yeah,
means of keeping it simple too,
keeping
right?
it
It's also
simple. Yeah, like remember, the pen and paper takes me to my past.
right,
If I ditch a pen and paper, it's gonna make my life all futuristic,
right,
right? So it's like keeping yourself that, hey, remember there was a paper and there was a pen once upon a time,
right.
and it's still there for me.
It keeps you
And
in check.
yeah, it keeps me in check. And then everything is simple. You open the notebook, you look at, hey, this is the data and put the notes on. Okay, this is what I did. This is the second note. While let's say if an app gets crashed or something, you might lose all your notes.
Yeah,
It's hard to happen nowadays with technology.
yeah.
It's just I like notebook. Keep it
Mm,
simple. Yeah.
that's good. What do you normally do here in, like, what do you feel like you would want to do in IT, in how does the IT future looks like? Do you think you would want to move to another field in IT,
Uh,
AI? Sometimes, like, because sometimes I feel like um, I'm always afraid in terms of I want to. What if whatever field I work on, what if that, like, it evolves
yeah.
much, and like if something else goes better, if I have time to learn IT and do like AI and all that stuff, but I'm already doing this and I have interest in this, I want to grow. There's also things in where I can which I can learn and put my time into, which would be
Mm,
beneficial for me in future.
yeah.
How do you think about that?
So for me right now, as an infrastructure engineer, I want to stay in this field, obviously IT as a whole, but I want to see myself grow as an engineer,
Right,
do new things, try to manage more bigger environments, try to see how the new future with AI is going to look like, how we can use AI. I also love cybersecurity. That's where I want to see myself in near future, right? I want to become like go in cybersecurity side of IT,
right,
because the bigger IT field is, there are going to be more hackers, and more hackers, there are going to be more need of security.
right.
So
It's yeah,
it's a demanding field. There are going to be a lot of opportunities. Even right now there are opportunities, and even in future there are going to be a lot of opportunities. The only toughest part about IT is entry level. Getting your first step, first job is tough, but once you are in IT, there are always a lot of room to grow. Cloud engineer, security engineer, AI engineer, you can do a lot of stuff. For me,
mm,
the only thing that I try to avoid is software development. I don't like coding that much.
right,
It's not like I tried coding, but I don't love it. It's not my thing.
right. Yeah, coding
I
is
try to stay away from it. Yeah,
coding is different. Yeah, it's a different field. Like
it's a
it's
different
still in
field,
IT, but it's a completely different field.
completely different. You're
Yeah,
sitting on your laptop 8 hours straight looking at a computer. That's how I see it.
yeah,
It might be different. Someone might say that, hey, it's not like that. Software development is more fun than uh, admin side of stuff of IT. It's person to person. It's different. I'm a more of an admin and managing servers type of person rather than sitting on a laptop and coding.
yeah. And it's not just. I mean, it is sitting in coding, but it's not just a software development. We say it as a small field, but I don't think it's a small field. It's a
It's
vast.
a
It's
vast.
there's in development you can be develop like there's a lot of things you can do.
Yeah,
Developers,
yeah,
QA, and then there's things like some. I have friends who are developers. I have friends
yeah.
who works as everything includes coding some way or the other.
100%.
And there's languages that you can learn as
Yeah,
skills, tools that you can use right now, and it's just very very different.
100%.
I'm the same thing. I like kind of I like the management of the
Yeah,
other side of the things in IT, where you don't have to code as much, but you have to manage
yeah,
things, servers and systems, and all that. Then there's security side of things that we just spoke about that you're interested in. Security was, I think, the field grew insanely fast after COVID. I don't think it was as popular before
no,
COVID, but then
yeah.
COVID
After
happened. Everybody was at home, work from home started. IT just spiked up, and then IT goes up, security obviously goes up, uh, and then a lot of
sure,
things open, a lot of opportunities open in security, a lot of courses, certifications. The job market is good in cybersecurity right now.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so cybersecurity is really
Cybersecurity is,
interesting.
yeah, it's going to be huge one day.
Yeah, I feel like too.
Yeah.
Well, we had it was a good chat we had with Meet. What I want to ask you is just, I guess, the last question. Um, Everything that you learned so far in your life, moving a lot, different countries and different cities.
Mm,
You had pretty much the same story as me, where
yeah.
you don't, I guess, you don't make any permanent friends, permanent connections. You always traveling and you always see your
Yeah.
family moving and such. Um, and then at some point you're on your own, which is what you are
Yeah.
right now, right? Come as a student,
Yeah.
leaving your family and your mom behind.
Obviously, yeah, that
Mamas.
was.
So leaving your family behind,
Yeah.
evolving, growing, right?
Yeah.
And at the same time managing your personal life as well. I know you have had a lot of, well, I don't know how much you would want to share about it, but when we met, at that time, you were in a phase of your life where it was hard for you to uh, manage the personal life,
Yeah.
I would say, because it was a new job
A
for
new
you, for
job,
me as well,
obviously.
and then you had to manage things in your personal life. Now things are way, way, way better,
Mhm.
right? But how how did you manage? How does that, like, how did you manage? Tell us, share us about your experiences going from, if we remember you remember our talks, right? We were talking
Yeah.
about how things are unfair in life, and sometimes things are not in your control. Mm,
Yeah.
and you just have to, sometimes you don't get closures, you don't get to
You
communicate,
cannot know.
and you have to accept things as they are. You have to
Yeah.
grow, look forward,
Yeah.
and then you don't know at that point, you just feel like you're in a dark situation,
Yeah.
but there's light afterwards. I always told you that, in from my experiences, I've always known that my today is much, much better than my whatever
Yesterday was.
happened
Yeah.
yesterday lead me to today. So whatever I have today is a blessing for me,
Yeah.
right? So how do you think about?
So first thing that I try to keep in my mind is that be grateful for whatever you have, basically. If you try to complain that, hey, I don't have this in my life, I don't have this in my life, you're going to be sad. You're going to sit in the room and always be sad and always be complaining that I don't have this, I don't have that. Try to compare yourself with someone who doesn't have anything, first of all. So that way you'd be like, okay, when I moved here, Ottawa, things did change. I did lose few people in my life, but that's part of life. You have to keep going. You have to keep working. You have to wake up every single day and go to work. But at the end of the day, just remember, everything happens for a good reason. And that's how I feel, that okay, if it happened for a good reason. I lost few people when I moved here, but now I'm happy. I'm in a good state of mind that okay, now I'm growing, I'm learning new things, I'm making new friends, right? And alongside of that, also try to look at people who have achieved more in life, and try to take their example that hey, I want to do something like that. Because if you don't bring a balance of that, you'd be either not doing anything in your life or sad every time. So basically, if you look at a people who is below you, you'd be like, okay, I have achieved a lot. You'd have an ego in your life. And if you look at a people who is above you, you'd be like, oh, I'm not going to reach that level. You'll be sad. So just bring a balance. Try to also look at the people who are below you, and try to also look at the people who are ahead of you, and bring a balance and just stay focused on what you want to do. Yeah. Looking at people who are above me, I look at my dad, as I told you. I look at my dad, I take his example that, hey, whatever he has achieved, I want to do the same. And looking at people below me, I just see that, hey, this guy is jobless from past 4 months. At least I have a job.
Right, so you don't have to, whatever happens in your personal life, you have to make sure that things are still going.
Things are still going. And
And it's good that you have those things
yeah,
in your life, because there are people who does not have those things
yeah,
in their lives, and who deserve way more than us.
100%.
I'm not saying less for me or us, but it's like there's a lot of people who are much,
Yeah.
much smarter than me, much, much hardworking than me.
Mm.
If I have this opportunity, if I'm in a place, a country, a job
Yeah.
where I'm good, healthy, happy, that means somewhere I got lucky. That's just that.
Somewhere. Like,
So
yeah,
you don't have to
100%.
be like, you cannot be it's all because of me. No, somewhere I
Yeah.
got lucky. That's why I'm here. Somewhere people did not get those opportunities,
Mm.
but there are people who can, and you just have to.
Yeah,
That's
keep
how you
going.
keep your emotions going.
I'll try to explain it more simpler, I guess. If you're not feeling motivated, look at someone who is jobless from past 4 months. And if you're feeling that, hey, I have done something in my life, look at someone who has achieved more than you. They'll bring you to the ground. And looking at someone who is jobless from past 4 months, they'll give you a little bit of motivation that, okay, I have done something.
I feel like it's the openness as well. It's 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 having being open to that thought
Yeah.
of you're not at that place. So it's like you're also. I've met people who are not even open at that thought where they think, they're always like, okay, no, I'm the most above. I know the smartest. I'm the smartest one in the room. I'm the most, like, I'm above all,
If
and
you
then,
feel that way,
but
look
you
at
have to.
someone above you
There's
100%.
always gonna be people,
Yeah, there's going to be someone
but you
above
have
you.
to be open to the fact that which that,
Yeah,
that I want to calm myself down.
yeah,
You
yeah,
cannot be you cannot be ignoring that fact.
yeah. Not to have ego when you feel you have achieved,
Yeah,
and not to be depressed when you feel like you've lost everything. It's just a balance.
yeah. Any
Yeah,
any last words or advice you have, what you learned from your life so far?
yeah. Always have a greediness in the life. Like, stay motivated. Look at people what they have done in their life, and always try to take example from them, right? And if you're depressed, same thing that I said, I'll repeat it again. Look at people who are still jobless from months. At least you have a job, or you have a family, or you have someone, right? Rather than no one.
Yeah, there are probably people who doesn't have any.
Anyone. There are 100%, there are people who don't even have a roof to sleep, right? At least you have a roof. At least you're eating once. There are people who don't even eat once.
Be grateful.
Be grateful. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you.